Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Jen. This episode is going to be so dope. I'm excited about it. I have Prophet Davon Felton here with me. Listen, this one right here, forget about it. Like, he is so dope. Oh, my goodness. But listen, to those of you that have not seen this show before, look, I want to give you a disclaimer. This is a real show. We talk about real issues, real problems, people that you see with smiles on their faces all the time having real issues deep down inside. So, if you want to, please share this broadcast, share this show, let the people know that I do exist. My name is Jennifer Robertson, aka PJ, and I absolutely love what I do. This show was created by God, for His people. So, let's get into it, all right? So, Mr. Davon Felton.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you, sir?
I'm blessed. No, I'm good. I'm letting y'all know this now. Y'all probably gonna laugh this whole episode because I'm going to be myself authentically.
Yes.
No, but I'm doing good. I am doing amazing. It's a fresh season, fresh start.
Yes.
So I'm just honestly in a good space. And just in one of the best but most uncomfortable places. Because life is different. Life is new. Just really stepping into another place of purpose, another depth of what God wants me to do, identity, and honestly being intentional about living life.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at right now. So I am truly in a good place.
That's awesome. Okay, so let the people know who you are and what you do.
Well, if you don't know, if you have not known by now, I am Davon Felton, Davon Meek Felton, so people can know because they probably see me, don't know how to say my middle name.
Okay, come on,
and I am let's go down this list. I am a fourth generation preacher. I'm a prophet of the Lord. Yes, if you have not noticed, I am a preacher. I hoop, holler, scream, all of that. No, but I'm a father, 3 boys. Who are my pride joys, and they work my last God-given nerve in my pockets. Tyrell, Zachariah, and Xavier, who are known as Papa, Champ, and Ice. That's their nicknames.
Okay.
Yeah, that's their names. I am an educator. I've been in education for the last 9 years.
I love that. He didn't say teacher, he said educator.
Yeah,
I love
because
that.
I've been in the classroom, I've been in administration, I've been in all those things. I have been March of 2023. February, March of 2023 will make 20 years of ministry. Yes, 20 years.
20 years?
Yes, 20
Wait
years
a
of
minute.
ministry.
Wait.
20 years.
Wait. No.
This will be my 20th
it can't be.
anniversary.
It can't be.
Yes.
Wow.
I've been doing this since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
I'll be turning 33 this year.
Nice.
And so I will be celebrating 20 years of ministry. I'll be celebrating 17 of those years from preaching, and then 11 of those years pastoring.
Wow.
So I'm not new to this. I am
true to it. Yes, come on.
And so I have been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about me. I'm a native of New York, but I reside currently in Jacksonville, Florida.
Bless your heart.
Yes, with a good sunshine state, because Texas is cold. God bless y'all.
Just for a few days.
Just for a few days.
This is unheard of cold.
Then it gets hot. But yeah, that's where I'm a writer. I'm an author. I wrote 2 books. I'm in the process of writing number 3 right now. I wrote 1 devotional and then 1 book on God DNA. That's kind of my whole purpose of what I do, why I do it, helping people unlock their gifting and what God has called them to do. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 3 businesses. I have a media business called In His Image Media. I have Jet Enterprises, which is my consulting, and then I have ministry, which is it is own right a business, but it's something of that nature. So these are all the things that I do. I'm a spiritual father. I'm a mentor. I'm a coach. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can't call you jack of all trades anymore because you shut that down.
No. We are masters.
You're a master.
We're going for mastery.
Yes, mastery. I love it. Listen. Yeah. Okay. So let's get down to it because I know that people are kind of like, okay, well, yeah, he's a preacher, he's a pastor, he's been doing this all this time. Yeah. So, what is the most misconstrued conception of a prophet and a preacher? Because it's like, okay, People think, okay, well, you've been saved and you've been doing this, you've been doing that. Like, what is something that is so misunderstood in the line of work that you're in?
I'll start at the first aspect of being a preacher. Being a preacher, one of the biggest misconceptions about being a preacher is that preachers don't have how would I really put it? I think it really is that you know, like we choose this.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose it, but sometimes we don't realize when it's a call from God, you can't run from it.
You
And
cannot.
then
Not at all.
sometimes I'll be very honest, and this is no shade. I grew up, I said I'm a fourth generation preacher, so I've been in this for a very long time, not just preaching, but seeing in my family. The black church will push you in something that you necessarily don't want to go into
Mm-hmm.
at the right time. So one of the
Oh,
misconceptions
okay.
is that sometimes people don't realize is that you are in a war within a war. You're in a war against the enemy trying to, live your godly life, but then you're also in a war because you have some people pushing you into what God has said, while some people are trying to guide you in
Right.
what God is saying. If you heard that clear, like some people will push you while some people try to guide you. And so for me, one of the hardest challenges when I heard the call from God, I did not know who to listen to because my flesh and my spirit were at a war because I was trying to do what I thought God said.
Right.
And but then I'm also trying to fight for who Davon is at the same time.
Right. How
And
old
so
were you when you did that? Like,
okay. So this whole premise of me coming into my God calling did not start at the tender age of 13. I had my first supernatural encounter with God around the age 8 or 9. And I know many
whoa.
people may not believe in this, but spirits are real. And so I was attacked in my sleep. And so some people call it sleep paralysis. Again, this is to your own thought, your own theology. I've gone through many supernatural experiences, so I do believe in spirits and
Yeah.
demons are real and all those things. And so my first supernatural encounter was around the tender age of 7, 8. I was sleeping in my room, and my mom, the way our house was living in a brownstone, and I was sleeping in my room, and immediately what began to happen to me was that I ended up going through sleep paralysis, or I was stuck in my sleep, but actually it was a spirit gripping me by my arms and covering my mouth. And the only thing I knew to do was call on the name Jesus as my great grandmother taught me. And so that is when I begin to mumble the word Jesus out of my mouth. That is when it changed because I was first calling for my mama. My mama could not hear me. But then secondly, that's when I knew. And so later on, as I looked throughout my life, I understood. So one of the things is you don't realize that your calling fights for you.
Oof.
Your purpose fights for you. And
Wow.
so everyone in this earth, in this world, is birthed and born with a calling. But it's the misconception, how does it fall with being a preacher? It is because of these supernatural encounters, it exposes, and honestly, because we made, depending on the way we were brought up, I was brought up in a Pentecostal home. I seen young kids operate in church. And so because there's not proper guidance, because again, my mom was a teenage mom, so the conversation of now knowing how to guide a young man in his calling was unheard of, because I was one of the first in my family that really started following my godly calling, and when they talk about an aspect of preaching. So the misconception is that people just think that, oh, you just doing it for the money. No, I'm actually doing it because it's something I feel like I cannot run from. Right. And so we are getting pushed into something, and some of us are looking for guidance, but when you don't know which way to go, because again, you can only go on what someone says and does, and you go by trial and error, you sometimes are pushed into something that many people think you actually wanted. And many people don't know. I got to the place of pastoring, and I was having this conversation with someone about this. Like, my godfather played a very pivotal role in my life. And when I first became a minister, he handed me my Bible, because that was just the tradition that, somebody presents you your Bible at the aspect of a minister. And he told me, he said, you're going to need this word because of the fight you're going to go in. That was his guidance unto me. He gave me wisdom and instruction. But then I had people on the contrary just looking at my gifting. I had people on the contrary that was just really honestly like, okay, this young man is anointed. And so you're thinking that, oh, I wanted this, but no, I had people in my corner pushing me to this. And so I thought I was right. And so that's the misconception. Many people don't realize that some people not are forced into it, but they are in circles and communities that do not shape the. And it may not even just be spiritual. It could be in business. It could be in relationship. And so if you don't know how to discern, and that means to judge well, then you are going to put yourself in a binding situation, and then people are going to see like, oh, you just ran to this, or you just want this, and people used to think like, no, I did run to my calling. I ran to being yes to God, but I also was at the same time didn't realize I was looking for identity. And there were people that were really, yes, my mom was there, my grandmother was there, whatever. But my dad was around, but my dad didn't live in a home. And so a young man looking for the voice of his father, at the same time looking for, getting closer to God and God is father, and you're following your spirit, and then people don't know which way to go with you. It's trial and error. And so that's the misconception is that ministry is sometimes trial and error. It's not going to be perfect. And sometimes people think that, oh, getting into ministry is going to be perfect, and it's not.
Right. And with you being so young and going through what you went through, because listen, sleep paralysis, that's real. I had a similar experience like that too. So I know that is something so real. Spirits are definitely real. But it's like you're also trying to grow up in New York. In the time that you were growing up, you're 7 years old. You're kind of, once you figure out what's going on, you're going through not only your adolescence, but then your teenage years, trying to figure out what you want to do, how you want to do things. So it's like, how did that happen for you? Like, listen, this is PG.
You just took me back. How?
Like, how did you go through ministry, go through your calling, and still be able to be a teenager, still be able to be a young adult?
I did it. I was actually having a conversation about this. When I stepped into my calling, 14 to 19 was the worst time of my life. Because I had a gift, but my gift became my kryptonite.
Oh, explain that.
Because I used my gift to cope with my emotions. To be very truthful, because I was called such at a young age, I used my gift to cope with my abandonment. I used my gift to cope with my emotions of not having many friends. I lost out of hanging out. And many different things. I was able to explore the world, but in the aspects only in church. I was sheltered very heavily. And so I engulfed myself in the Bible, in the Word, in hearing God and seeing God. And then that put me in a place that truthfully, I didn't know what it means not to be in the Spirit.
Oh.
I would spend hours in prayer. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Hours reading my Bible. I would play my game from time to time. When I did have my cousins come over or when I did go outside. But there were times my mother used to force me to go outside.
Really?
I did not know how to fight. I've had 3 fights in my life. And now to be truthful and honest, in those teenage years. Now when I got older, I became more
aggressive.
Hallelujah, glory. Hallelujah, glory. But as a teenager, I didn't have that many fights. But I had to, and I say 3 fights, like I had interactions and almost physical, but I had 3 actual fights. And they were because I was the church boy. So every time I would go outside, I had to protect myself. And then why was that a war for me? It was because my father, where I lived, was known for his street life. So I have a father who has known to be, and I want to use this, and I know my father may watch this later, and this is the best way I can understand it because I think it's something that everybody can connect to. You got your Ghost from Power or your Nino Brown. You understand? My dad was in that street life.
Right.
And then you have a son who is the total opposite. I am the legacy of my father. I'm my father's first son.
Right.
And so people know my father to be this hood dude, my family to be this popular family. And then you have this son that is totally opposite.
Right.
I wore church clothes to school. I dressed up every day.
Wow.
I was ridiculed. And I always had to defend myself. And I knew I used my words that I didn't have to get into fights to make somebody look dumb.
Yeah.
But I always had to fight. So being a teenager, but there were many times I sat in my house crying, in my room crying, depressed, not having no one. So my mom would talk to me and we would have something called real talk where my mother would always tell me, you can say what you need to say as long as you're respectful. And that did help. But still, I was dealing with issues because I didn't have my dad.
Right.
And finding out I had twin sisters, it was just a lot. So dealing with all the turmoil and then trying to live up to a name. And one thing I love about my father, we have a great relationship now, a phenomenal relationship, is my father never wanted me to be him, but the pressure of the world wanted me to be him.
Yeah.
And so though my father was trying to guide me, say, be the best Davon, you got to realize when you got 1 versus 20, you're going to listen to the 20.
Right.
And so for me, it was always a fight for who Davon was. And so where I grew up, everyone did not call me Davon. It wasn't until I got to my 20s, and now going to my late 30s, like truthfully, people always used to either call me Day Day, which was my nickname that my uncle and my brother gave me. And then also Little AJ, which was my dad's name. So where I grew up, I was never known as Davon. People till now, that's my mom and my dad's friends, many of them will not know my name. I had to, around when I was 19, I had to start telling people I'm not Little AJ. I am Davon. I had to tell people who I was. So you're trying to tell me from teenage years to basically young adult years, no one knew who you was. And so you're fighting for an sense of identity because, all right, you're known as the preacher boy at school. You are so-and-so's grandson at the church. And then at this time, we was in a ministry from our family church. We moved to a ministry, which I really call my home church because it's where I found God myself. Then I'm trying to find myself there and figure that out. But in the outside circles, I'm fighting against what I was finding in church. And so it was all those mixing of emotion. Yeah. And so all I did was engulf myself in worship, in prayer, in scripture, find out who I was. But the catastrophic impact of that is I never was a kid. I was never really a kid. Emotionally.
Right.
Again, like I said, I would go, my uncle would take me every summer away, and then we would do things with the church, but I did everything my whole life from 13 to 18 in church. Wow. I rarely spent the night at cousin's house. I rarely spent time and this is just being truthful, real and raw. I didn't know what it means to spend a night at your cousin's house.
Wow. So you never really had like a childhood, yeah.
I had one, but it was sheltered. Wow. My mom and my grandmother one. It's literally I lived the Joseph life.
Wow.
Like Joseph, you know how everybody else is out in the field and doing, and Joseph's like, why do I gotta go study? But it wasn't that my mom and them wanted me to study. They wanted me to be a kid. But it's where I felt my safety. I stayed under my mother and my grandmother, I stayed under them. Yeah. And that was, so when I got to my young adult years, I lost all my cookies. Every cookie I had. When I went to college, I said good riddance.
Oh, God.
And I ran.
Wow.
Ran here to Texas, actually. Got into a relationship. Serious relationship, but didn't do right by it.
Yeah.
Had just recently broke up with my high school sweetheart at that time and ran into another relationship. And that wasn't working out, and I felt like I failed, and I didn't want to listen to my mom. My mom had kicked me out at the time, and so I remember that day when she had kicked me out. It was me and my son and her at the renting office, and I had my son next to me, and she was saying something to me, and I basically said, I ain't gotta be here. And I finally was talking back to my mother because I didn't realize I had resentment to my mother because I felt like I could never be a man. And I understand what my mother was doing at the time. And later on, I figured, well, why she sheltered me the way she did. And I understood that we resolved that. But at that time, I really was like, nah, I'm a man. I got sons. I'm like, what I got to listen to you for? I got a good job. Like, I've had a job since I was 14 years old. Like, I literally had a physical job, paycheck job since I was 14. And so doing all that I was doing, and I was like, what? I done travel states. Like, what? Like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you ain't got to be here. And I said, all right, cool. Took my son. I dropped him at my sister's house, and I went to my girlfriend's house, and I went into the darkest place I could ever go.
Woo, God.
And that came bring me over to Texas.
Woo. We need to take a break right here. Listen, we're gonna get back to that.
Yes,
we're gonna get back to that. Yeah. So, listen, we're gonna hear from our sponsors. Y'all check these sponsors out because they are what? Dope. All right, guys, welcome back, and thank you so much for supporting our sponsors. If you would like to be a sponsor, please send an email to damacf22@gmail.com. And we can get your logo, we can get whatever flyer you have going on for your events, whatever you want promoted, send it to us so that we can get you on the show. All right? So, I'm here back with Mr. Davon Felton. Listen, the story is getting real juicy here.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys are getting the message so far because, oh man, this is amazing. So, okay, so now you grown, you think you out here doing your thing, you a grown man, you have your son and everything. Yeah. So, okay, now were you in this rebellion state at this time? So let's talk about that because of course, most people think, when you grow up in the church and you're always in the church, right. You have a season of rebellion. You have a season of, I don't want to do this no more. I'm grown. I can do what I want to do. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So what was that like for
I would say it was
you?
A season of rebellion, but also a season of trying to find my identity. Because at that point in time, I was really looking for my dad's love. Mm-hmm. I was tired of living for my mom and my grandmother. I was in a place of resentfulness because I just felt like the high school I went to, my parents wanted me to go to. Right. The college I went to, my mama wanted me to go to. Mm-hmm. And me and my mother talk about it. We laugh about it now. She wants to say, Davon, why are you sharing all this business? But it's the truth. We got better now. And, she's a phenomenal mom. And she's even a phenomenal, bonus mom to my siblings. So, mm-hmm. She's a good mom. And my dad is, again, always been supportive. In that right, but the truth of the matter was, it was I searching for who I was, right. Because regardless of what I had, regardless of how I traveled, job, whatever, Davon was still lost, and so I thought being in a relationship, somebody wanted to love you, get married, all of that, so. To say that, I said all right, and I was in that relationship. That relationship went downhill, and I was like, you know what? I'm over New York. I'm done with New York. Forget this. I ain't got to be here no more. Forget my calling. I am running. I did a Jonah. I bust a move. I bought a one-way ticket.
Lord Jesus.
One-way ticket, $147.47.
Wow.
Right there with my Bank of America card on Expedia. I remember sitting at the kitchen table in Coney Island, Brooklyn, sitting there at the table and didn't even tell my girlfriend at the time. I didn't even tell her I was leaving. I bought a ticket. I upped and leave.
He apologizes if you're watching.
I did.
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest. I'm talking to you like a dog. I'm talking about myself like a dog. I left her in a deep overhead of rent that was going to help her. I took my last check. I was working at a health service helping mentally disabled and all that. I was helping. I took my last check and I got on a plane. I went right there to JFK, called my grandmother. Me and my mother were not talking at that time. I think I've seen my mother one time in between that time, and I had lost so much weight because I was living with my girlfriend and didn't have any food, and I was skinny and all that stuff. But got on a plane, called my grandmother and said, "Hey, grandma." Because that's one thing I did not do anything about my grandmother because she would rebuke me. Not just my my grandmother. That was my other mother. She helped, raise me with my mom. And I said, Grandma, I said, Nana, I said, I love you. I started crying. She's like, what's wrong, Davon? She heard in my voice. I said, I'm leaving. You what? I am getting on the plane right now, heading to DFW, Dallas, Texas. And I'm not coming back. Davon, what are you talking about? I said, Grandma, there's no change in my mind. I'm at the airport with my bags. Tell Mommy I love her. And I love you guys, but I don't know when I will return. I got on that plane. I came here. I lived here for almost a year. Was the worst. The worst season. I went, and this is no exaggeration, I was weighing 218 pounds. I dropped within 3 weeks 20 something pounds.
Oh my God.
I lost drastic weight. Was not eating. I was disturbed. I was around people I shouldn't have been around. And it distorted my life. To a point in time, I don't really share this story a lot. I was here, and one of the individuals was a friend. We were staying with a ministry leader, and they were mad because my grandmother started getting sick. And I believe it was my great grandmother just praying for me, and it took a toll on her because I was the baby boy. I was the legacy.
She was worried about you.
Worried. And it hit my heart one day. She called me crying. And I said, okay, God. And I heard my great grandmother's voice, and that thing tore me. And I said, I got to go back. And I told my friend, I said, hey, listen, man, I know we was going to start a church here. Yeah, running from God, trying to do a church here.
Running from God and
trying to do a church.
Wait a minute. Wait. How? Make that make sense to me. Because
cope. Ministry was a cope.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I still can do something even if it was out the will of God. Wow. Because it was rehearsed. I know how to, it was rehearsed. Wow. So it wasn't about obedience, it was about memory.
Wow.
So I knew how to flow. I knew how to start a church. I knew how to preach. I knew how to do that because it was memory. It wasn't obedience.
Wow.
And ultimately what happened, my friend tried to kill me.
Because you were trying to leave?
Chased me out the house with a knife.
Wow.
He tried to kill me. Called my mother and said, Mom, I love you, but I don't know if I'm going to make it back home. She said, Davon, I don't know what's going on. Go straight to the airport. My mother bought me a ticket back to New York.
Wow.
Even the person I didn't talk to, I knew who to call.
Wow.
At the end of the day, I'm her son.
Right.
I called her. I stayed in the airport overnight because there was no flights that night leaving DFW. My pastor friend took me to the airport. He was like, I just wish you the best. Be safe. And he understood. It hurt because he really wanted me to just do the will of God.
Right.
But he didn't understand the backstory to some things. And understanding, and I went back. And you would think I would learn.
Yeah.
Didn't take no time. I jumped right back into pastoring. 2-3 months later, started United Fellowship Kingdom Ministries. Didn't take a break. Started a church. So I was always in memory. stayed out of a relationship for a little bit of a time, and then I got married. I started dating at 21, and then I got married.
So wait, all this is happening before you even turn 21. Wow. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about the marriage. So being in ministry, being married, dating. How? Okay, because I don't know about anybody else, but dating is
Pastor J, you
some.
getting the side of me that I didn't
You
know
listen, dating is. I listen. It sucks. I ain't gonna lie. It sucks. So how did you date in
date the right one? How did
what
I
does
date?
that even mean? What does that look like?
I'll be honest with you. It's really just knowing timing.
Okay.
Timing and maturity it takes to be in a relationship. Me and now my ex-wife, because I am getting a divorce. So I'll be very, this is very transparent and it's all honesty. Um, and so with that, I really just I messed that one up.
How long were you married?
9 years.
Wow.
All together, including that separation.
Yeah.
9 years. I turned my best friend into my enemy.
Ooh. Well, Lord.
The reason for my divorce or separation rather, because it's still what that is, was because I kept going and I never stopped. I had no one to help deal with the man in me. I provided for my home. I provided for my wife and my kids. We didn't have any kids together, but she helped raise my sons with me as if they were her own.
Right. Did she have kids?
No. So my boys were all she had and what she loved and what she cared for. And this long story short, it was really drastic. And, coming from two different lifestyles of church, she was 7-day Adventist and I was your Sunday churchgoer. And that just really was a whole different dynamic. And my wife sacrificed a lot for me. She had sacrificed a lot for me, and I didn't care because it was all about Davon.
Right.
Because I didn't know what it means to live for Davon, and so I was doing everything to cope. And I thought being married would have coped with all the inner turmoils and demons that I had, and it didn't. All it did was mask it, and I ended up hurting my family. My sons didn't want to go to church. My sons saw me depressed. My sons lost time with their dad.
Right.
My wife had lost time with her husband. I was drinking. I've been drinking. Yeah, I was drinking. I was a professional drinking.
Getting lost in the bottle. In the bottom
I was
of the bottle.
I could preach, hoop, holler, scream, and prophesy. But would go home and drink.
Yeah.
Go home and not talk to my wife. Would get in a car and cuss her out the filth. Because I was empty. I didn't care about anybody or anything. As long as it got me my fix, as long as it got me through,
right.
And as long as I kept hearing God. I didn't think nothing was wrong because I could prophesy. I could preach. I still got invitations. I didn't think anything was wrong. Because the whole time what I was doing was letting my gift become my kryptonite.
Right.
It was the thing that started killing me. Because I thought as long as I have the gift, I got God.
Right.
And so we started a church together. First year of our marriage. Actually, I proposed the day that I started our church. And in 1 year's time, never took a break from ministry. I think the only time I took a Sunday off was our honeymoon.
Wow.
Never took a Sunday off for a vacation. I had to be back in my pulpit Sundays.
Wow.
I ministry was first, my wife was second. That's a lie. Ministry was first. My kids were second. My family was third. My wife was fourth. She got the crumbs of the table.
Wow.
Because as long as she was there, I felt that we were good.
Yeah.
You love me, so you go stick it there with me. And didn't realize me and my wife were 8 years apart. 8-year difference. I was 22, she was 30. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so, ooh, God, listen. Okay.
You are getting real and raw.
I know.
Welcome.
Oh, okay. So you said that she was Seventh-day Adventist, and you at that time
It was Sunday, what they call Sunday church. Yep, Pentecostal.
Right. So how did that work?
She started going to a Sunday church that my family, my cousin's church, he was a preacher,
Mhm.
and it was like my aunts and uncles. It was like our family was just really close. She would attend their church on Sundays, and we met, and we were just friends, and we always were friends.
Yeah.
When I first started my ministry, before we were talking in any kind of sense, she was one of the first ministries that came and supported and actually did something at the service. And I liked her since then, but I had just got out of a relationship. And, you know, for me, I wanted to give myself some time. And I also just wanted to be on my grown man. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Glory.
Yeah.
Freshly single. And it was distorted. And so a year later, she had thought I was in a relationship and I wasn't. And we just started talking, started in the Facebook chat. Y'all done moved to Instagram, but it started in the Facebook Messenger. And it came up and it started flashing the one. And like you know that somebody wrote you. Praise our God. This is before we had MySpace. This is the transition. Good God Almighty today. And so,
yeah, y'all don't even know what MySpace is. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I just, as I said, mid-40s, praise the Lord, mid-30s, hallelujah, glory to the name. But it was until there that that's how we started, and she supported me, and I never felt a support like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I abused it, because she gave me support I wanted from my mom. So when I was about 17, 18 years old, and again, I was living rebellious, I would preach to my mother. So my mother, we grew up in a preaching house. So my mother knew the lifestyle preacher lived. And my mother saw that I wasn't really living the fullness of that. My mother didn't come and hear me preach. My grandmother, my great-grandmother were there. And so I was looking for my mother to be there. My mother was in school a lot and all that. And and again, we and my mother are good. So me talking about we understand, but emotionally, I didn't have my mom there. So when my wife came into my life, it was something I never felt from a woman.
So she was essentially filling a void.
Yeah, and I was like, woo. Like I had been in other relationships, but this one was different. And it was like the ride or die. It was like, and then one day we went on our first date, and I just laid everything about my life on the table, and she was like, I'm here with you. I said, oh,
what'd she say,
baby. I said, oh, I got that. Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, like, oh, you can't tell me nothing now.
Oh my God.
Because I didn't understand the value of a woman's heart.
Yeah.
Because I was fighting for another woman.
Woo!
God! Oh, I felt that right there. Oh, you don't realize what you have when you fight for something else. And so I tarnished her heart because I was resentful to my mother's.
Wow. Ooh, that's deep.
And so she giving me and doing and driving me around. And listen, I'm 22, got a 30-year-old.
Oh, you the man in the streets.
And she got a car. And she got a job. My did the old shop.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, I couldn't the real role of me. I mean today. Wow. And so it was like to have somebody walking around with you.
Yeah.
Baby, you couldn't tell me nothing. But I didn't value that. Yeah. I use it as a trophy case.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than as the jewel she was from God. Because that was God's daughter, and I didn't value her. So I tell anybody, the reason why my marriage did not survive was not because of my wife. It was because of me.
And you know, that's honorable to say, because
I couldn't always say that.
We thank God for deliverance and growth.
I used to be like, no, she understand. No, Davon, you were immature.
Yeah.
And you didn't value, you didn't walk in the will, and you didn't do what you were preaching.
You had to look at yourself.
That was the hardest thing.
Ooh.
When God has to tell you, you condemned yourself enough. And so that was hard. And so I couldn't face the fact of rebuilding.
Right.
And so I'm the one that chose the separation and to go through, just not, continuing, because I was in too much of a shame.
Wow.
That I felt like I took away those years of her life. I made her wait on promises. I would give her enough to make her stay. Oh, see, I could talk. Men, we know how to manipulate.
Huh.
I would give her enough.
We ain't got time to
watch
talk
this,
about that.
Watch this, to make her stay quiet.
Oh, Jesus.
To to pacify her.
Yeah.
And then when the pacifier didn't work, I ran. I shut down and got in my emotional rants. You don't understand me.
Wow.
I hurt her in ways. Never put my hand on her. But almost.
Listen, that emotional
Abuse is more worse than physical.
God Almighty.
And I hurt her in a way that sometimes, like, God using me now is like, how? How? Because I destroyed your daughter.
Right.
But I didn't destroy her, because he said, I can't let you do something that was above me. But I hurt her. And it took me years to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And I pray even now that she forgives me. You know, we don't have any communication, but I pray every day for her still. That, and I know part of that is me forgiving myself, but I pray that the next person never hurts her the way that I did.
Yeah.
And she gets the renewed time.
Yeah.
She gets everything that God ever prophesied to her.
Ooh.
God ever said to her, everything
that.
I prophesied to her. Yeah. She's a great woman. She supported every dream I had. There was not one dream I had that she never supported. There's not one event I ever went to she didn't go to. She knew how to clap for me even when she hated me. Wow. And the crazy part, she never hated me, but I thought she did. She knew how to honor me even when I made her mad. She did things. She helped my family. And sometimes she went home with a monster. Wow. And because I was gifted, I thought it was okay. Because I still could prophesy. And didn't realize my gift meant nothing if my character was tarnished. Jeez. And that's why I'm so hard on people that want to be prophets and leaders, and telling people now in this stage of my life, like, take your time. Like, enjoy life. I'm now backwards, like in my 30s, wanting to kind of get back the time I lost. So I'm finding the balance. Learn how to preserve friendships and relationships. Because the longest friendship I have in my life right now is 7 years. Wow. People got 20-year relationship. I don't have that. You know, I have one person, though. Sorry. You know, one of my friends, childhood friends, we did ministry together. We're family. She just reconnected back in my life a couple of years ago and was a part of the ministry that I had started. Child friend. But outside of that, my longest friendship is 7 years. Wow. Because some of it was my fault and some people was the others. I didn't know and I didn't understand. And so it really, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we gotta fast forward to now. You are this man of God that is just preaching, teaching, doing everything that you can to help people. Yeah. Come out of what you were in. Like, you listen, the word, the prophecy, all of that. Listen, I have to say my last question, and then we're gonna go, because if we go too far, we ain't gonna be able to come back. After this, yes. What advice would you give to someone that's going through what you went through right now,
Jesus,
that you wish you could have gotten when you were going through it?
Oh my God. What would I say to somebody that was pick an age? Pick an age.
Your 18-year-old self.
Oh God. That's 18 to probably 23.
Yeah.
All right. Forgive your mom. Stop pacifying that you're hurt.
Yeah.
Stop pacifying because you did have everything that you still wanted the hug and the love and the attention from your mom. my mother did give it to me, but I never really communicated healthily how I was feeling.
Right.
Because my mom was a single mom technically.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive your dad. Your dad loves you. Because it gets you a little emotional. Take a break.
Oh, that's good.
Preaching will be there.
Yeah.
Learn you.
Live life.
Live life.
Yes.
Live life. And your sons are gonna love you regardless. They don't love the preacher. They love their dad. Love life. Live life. Go to therapy.
Ooh.
Go sit on somebody's couch.
Yeah.
But forgive. And learn God not as a person that endorses your gift, but as God, as Lord. Make him Lord. I've been saved all my life, but God became Lord in the last 10 years.
Wow. There's a difference.
He became Lord, and I really say the last 5 to 6 years. And forgive yourself. You're going to continue to mess up. But preserve your friendships. Because some people are not replaceable. Some people are not replaceable.
Right.
And it's okay to let people go. So.
That's good. Listen, this episode right here, this is for the books. It's for the books. Davon, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For opening your heart, because I know that was a transparent moment. The whole episode was a transparent moment for you. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you letting the world see you from a different lens outside of the pulpit. So y'all support him. Y'all love on him. Share this broadcast. Let everybody know that he is here. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you want to be on the show, please let me know. Please send me an email. Get with Define Appointment marketing and consulting firm. They are the bomb. So y'all get on here. Get on here. Sponsors, if you want to be a part of the sponsorship package, again, let us know. Get in contact with Divine Appointment marketing and consulting firm, and they will get you the information that you need. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Yes. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
See you later.
Deuces.